We're going to be taking sort of a deeper dive into looking at some LGBTQ boomers. So first slide up here, aging and growing. There are more than 44 million people in the U.S. who are aged between 65 or older, and that includes at least 1.5 million people who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. In the year 2030, we expect that older adult population will increase from its current 12.8% to an estimated 19%. Now, looking a little bit deeper into older LGBTQ adults, a lot of them may be disproportionately affected by poverty and physical and mental health conditions. They often find themselves vulnerable to neglect and mistreatment in aging care facilities, and a lot of them face the dual discrimination due to their sexual orientation and gender identity, as well as their age. So one more slide we have here looking at older LGBTQ adults. Generational differences and the lack of legal protection may make them less open about their sexuality, effectively pushing them back into the closet during their golden years. And they're more likely to live alone, more likely to be single, and less likely than their heterosexual counterparts to have children who will take care of them as they age. So that's just a snapshot, and now we're gonna go into the A block.
Recently, New York City announced the construction of its first public residential towers, fully dedicated to the elderly, the LGBTQ people Brian was just talking about, with National Pride Month around the corner, not to mention BRIC's own town hall event called Pride 2020, LGBTQ Civil Rights. It takes place 2 weeks from tonight. We're going to discuss the challenges facing the generation who were, in fact, the pioneers in the gay pride movement. We welcome, for the first time, the new executive director of GRIOT Circle, José Albino. Thank you very much for being on BK Live, José.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And Lynn Faria is the External Affairs Chief for SAGE USA, a national organization headquartered in NYC. Thank you very much, both of you, for being here. Why don't we start with, of course, our pleasure. Why don't we start with having you both tell us what your organizations are all about, a little bit of the background. Jose, you want to start?
Well, GRIOT Circle is an organization. We're celebrating our 20th year. This year, we're an organization that provides services, social services, advocacy, leadership development for LGBTQ seniors of color over the age of 50. Here in Brooklyn, our members come from Staten Island, Bronx, Manhattan, and Queens, but we're headquartered actually right around the corner from this establishment.
Very cool. Excellent.
Yeah.
Neighbors.
Yeah.
Sure. So SAGE stands for Services and Advocacy for GLBT Elders, and we were founded in 1978, actually, right here in New York City. And since then, we've grown and expanded to become a national organization with affiliates in 20 states across the country. And here in New York City, we're proud to have 5 LGBT senior centers, including one right here in Brooklyn in partnership with GRIOT right around the corner.
That's great. Very cool.
So our seniors, as they age, increasingly become invisible to a lot of society. There's not a lot of programs aimed at you if you're not 18 to 25 sort of thing. So how does being LGBT sort of compound the problems that we all face as we get older?
Well, I think that, speaking for the population I serve, particularly the LGBTQ seniors of color, I mean, we're dealing with individuals who have to deal with racial inequity. They have to deal with income inequality. They have to deal with being gay. They have to deal with being older. So we have all these isms. But I think the community is there. I think thankfully for SAGE and our organization that we're there to serve as advocates, to serve as their voices. And I think this is a time to really focus on the needs that they have. But they're definitely there, and they have growing needs. And I think organizations are very important in addressing those needs.
Housing is one major concern for this community. What has been your response to Mayor de Blasio's NYCHA housing initiative?
Well, SAGE, in partnership with BFC Partners, which is a developer here in Brooklyn, put in an application in response to one of the RFPs for the NYCHA projects, and we were awarded one over in the Ingersoll development, right around the corner from where we are now, and we're going to build New York City's first LGBT elder housing.
Bravo.
Thank you. Yes, very exciting. Housing is a huge issue, just for New Yorkers in general, for Brooklynites in particular, but especially for LGBT older folks who, as Brian mentioned at the top of the show, who face, increasing social isolation due to being disconnected from their families, more likely to be single, compounded by just the affordability crisis here in New York City in general. So what the housing is going to be is LGBT welcoming, so that these individuals don't have to go back into the closet, during the golden years, as you said, Brian. In addition, the SAGE will have a senior center on the ground floor, so we can offer LGBT competent programming, hot meals, et cetera, as well as a community center, so that members of the local community can also use the space there. So we're incredibly excited and happy to be here in Brooklyn.
So anytime you start talking about affordable housing, people get very sort of touchy sometimes. I wondered if there's been any pushback by saying, why are we dedicating these resources specifically to LGBT people? Like, my mom needs a place to stay, like she's getting old, or we need to bring these people. I wondered if there was any talk or if you'd heard any pushback from anywhere.
I think what we've been hearing is some excitement around the fact that this is New York City's first LGBT elder housing. Individuals have been quite supportive of the fact that, there are LGBT people in Fort Greene, there are LGBT people here in Brooklyn. And as a borough and as a larger Brooklyn community, we've been a safe haven for so many LGBT people, and what a disservice it is to those pioneers for them to have to move, to relocate, in many cases outside of the neighborhood, outside of the borough, sometimes out of state, and to be able to stay in such an LGBT welcoming neighborhood and to be provided services there, and in partnership with amazing organizations in the community like GRIOT.
But I also wanted to say, you talked about isolation and the sense of isolation for a lot of the seniors, but I think that this is happening in our backyard here in Brooklyn. I think that, it's important to recognize the LGBT community have been part of the economic engine and the social fiber of New York City, of Brooklyn, of the state. So I think that acknowledges and affirms and validates what they've contributed to Brooklyn in particular and to the city. And I think that that's really what this is also about.
What is the time frame on getting this senior care center you talk about up and running?
Just around 24 months or so.
Excellent. And,
Do you know if anyone else in the country has done something like this? Is there another city that we can point to that's made housing specifically for our seniors of LGBT?
Yes, so we can look to Philadelphia, Chicago, Minneapolis,
we're behind
Los
all
Angeles.
of them?
Yeah.
Really? And we're only getting one building? Come on. Really?
Philly? Never heard of it.
Right?
Just kidding.
Yeah.
So how do you maybe not work with them, but use them as a model for the Brooklyn Center that's going up?
I think just that is really look to our peers across the country and, speak with them and try and learn from their lessons as they've been, getting these buildings off the ground, as it were. And, we're able to do that through our connections, across the country, and, really recognizing that not every project's the same. This is a unique community, and we, very much want to recognize that and apply those big picture lessons learned while coming in to the project, recognizing that we're here in Fort Greene and Brooklyn and not in Philly, for example.
And also to make sure that the voice of the community is heard as well. I think that's a key point to the conversation.
That being said, how does the general public get their voice heard or get involved with your organization moving forward?
Well, you can visit our website. For us, it's griotcircle.org, and you can find out all the information, the services we provide, the special events, and how they can get involved as well in the organization.
And you can visit our website as well, which is sageusa.org, and also just look for the SAGE table at various prides, in the city, including Brooklyn Pride, which is coming up in just a couple of weeks.
Yes, and look for us in Brooklyn Pride. We'll be one of the Grand Marshals, so
awesome.
Go out there and support us.
Absolutely.
We'll be looking for you as well at our town hall 2 weeks from today here on LGBTQ issues. So we hope that you come and bring some friends.
Absolutely.
That would
Totally.
be phenomenal. We'll save a seat for you. Thank you both for being
Thank you
here.
for having
Thank
me.
you.
Yeah, thank you for all the
And we're
wonderful
looking
work
forward
you
to
do.
having some neighbors.
Yes,
Very
absolutely.
soon.
Yes, excited to be here.
Please come back again soon.